Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. So at the moment you seem to be enjoying the chats about tips for doing the massages at home. So why don't we move on to the shoulders? So we've done some on the ears, we've done some on the scalp. Let's do some shoulders. So I've got my willing participant, there's a bit of sarcasm for you. And again, in Scotland, we're not totally in that space yet where I can quite freely get different models. So thank you, Alan, for being my willing victim. Here's an area that a lot of us struggle with. You're very lucky if you don't get sore shoulders, sore neck, sore shoulders. It's mostly just the way that we carry ourselves, posture, stress, tension, exercise, lifting things, the way we sit, just basically day to day. If you get any ailments, any injuries, any illnesses, it can all affect the shoulders. So most of us, when you touch the shoulders, it feels solid. It can be because you're muscular, but a lot of the time it's because you've got a lot of tightness there. Now you can go very in depth into why you've got the tightness, but again, I've got teaching videos. They're all still quite adequate for what you want to learn. And this is more about us at home. You're not interested in anatomy and physiology. You're not interested in the medical reasons. You're not a physio. You just want some ideas for helping sore shoulders. I do have a video on some different equipment that you can buy. Actually, there's several different videos. Some I'll have bought myself, some they might be sponsored. Things like the Back Buddy, that's just manual. I bought that myself. That was a recommendation from somebody. They're very effective. Then obviously you'll get your different bits of equipment. I'd like to try the one, I think it's the shiatsu massager, I think. And it's like almost like the massager, and it's almost like a gun type massager. I don't have one. I'd like to try it. So let me know if either you've got one or you think it's worth me trying one out, because I think that could be quite effective too. And from what I gather, you hold it and then you actually work around the areas. I think that looks quite interesting. So some easy tips for the shoulders. Obviously, if someone's got an injury or they think that they've pulled a muscle, don't I wouldn't really do any massage on it, because you can't be sure that it isn't an injury that you could worsen. It might be something that if you don't know what you're doing and why you're doing it, you could actually cause damage. And if that person might have an injury and it hasn't been diagnosed and you mess about with it, you could end up causing things that actually make it far, far worse than just what it was originally. But if someone's just got achiness, aches and pains, then some of the easiest things you can do are to use things like a wheat pack. Get some heat into it, maybe have a shower or a bath and just get some warmth into that area. The wheat packs can be great because you can pop them into the microwave and then just sit them on the shoulders, very effective. But what you can do after you've checked your posture is quite simple things, such as just feeling the shoulder area, feeling if there's any tightness. Remember, we're not going to work on the neck and we're going to avoid that middle part, the spine. We don't want to work on that because we don't know if we could cause any damage, especially if you're not trained. But taking your full palm, you can press down and just see if you can relax that area. Now, you're not using your full body weight, as in you're leaning however much you weigh onto that person. You're just applying some pressure, because if you are quite muscular yourself or you've got a lot of power in your hands, you could hurt someone. So you don't want to do that. But likewise, if there's not a lot of power in your hands and your arms, you might find that the person might say, that's not really enough of a pressure for me. But there's only so much you can do. But if you start at either side of the neck and just press down and just apply a little bit of weight. Some people do it with their elbows and their forearms as well. You don't have to do that, because there's more chance, if you don't know what you're doing, that you could cause a bit of bother. So just work from each side of the neck and just press and release, just until you work over the shoulders. And then when you get to the edge of the shoulders, you can turn your hands around a bit and just press down. Now you can do that again, we always say maybe 3 or so times, and that's quite a nice way just to relax that area. And then if it's comfortable, sometimes you can move your hands round, but it's all about flexibility and dexterity. and you're catching a different part of the tightness in the muscles if you can move your hands round, and then it becomes more about just the edge of the palms here, just the edge, and then you're catching a different part and you're still pressing down, and then you get to that part of the neck again where the spine's in the middle, you stop, you don't go any further. But not all of us can do that. Flexibility, your own condition, it all depends very much on the individual, but that's one thing that you can do. Other things obviously are that you can do some very gentle, I would say it's almost like thumb and finger pressures, but what you're doing is you're moulding your hands to that shoulder area, and then you're using the pads of the fingers and the pad of the thumb, and you're just working in circles, you're moving those tissues. So the fingers are working in unison, and they're working, you'll almost feel that clavicle just there, which is your bone. I've forgotten the other one. Alan, what word am I thinking of? Your clavicle, you also call it
Collarbone.
Collarbone. All I could think about there was shoulder blade. And I was thinking, no, it's not your shoulder blade. You're right, your collarbone. Normally I forget the anatomy word. I don't normally forget the actual word. One of those days. What can I blame it on? The heat? Yeah. Blame it on the heat. So the collarbone, the clavicle. So you can feel your fingers working in unison in little circles, and you can probably feel that collarbone. And then at that point in time, your thumb can either just be stationary and it can be the anchor, or your thumb can be doing little circles too. So everything's working, and you can find very easily where to start from because it's at either side of the neck. And then what you're doing is you're moulding to those shoulders, so there's not a big gap. You do not want rigid hands, because rigid hands, they don't make for good massage tools. There's got to be looseness and flexibility in your hands. Rigid hurts. And if the person that you're working on in the house can't be honest with you, but you can feel that their shoulders are coming up and they're tightening, and they're maybe trying to hide a grimace on their face, they might not want to tell you that it's actually hurting. Another thing is, if you've got long nails or if your hands are at an angle, you could jag someone with your nails and not realise, so be aware of that too. Because remember, this isn't salon work, this is just working in the house. But you would work all the way over, and then you'll know when you get to the shoulders that it becomes almost impossible to do that. So you've reached the bony part, you might as well just stop there now. You can work over, but it becomes more uncomfortable, so just make it comfortable there. Let's tuck you back in again. So other things you can do, you can use your knuckles. So again, what you're doing is the softer part. You don't want to just be almost like Rocky, sort of punching somebody with your hands. It's not about that. It's about using these parts of your knuckles and just getting in there. And you're doing the same thing. You can either tuck in the thumbs, but that's not very comfortable, or use them like this as an anchor. Start at either side of the neck and use the thumb as an anchor while you move the hand along, and you're using those fleshy parts of your knuckles to work around in a circle. So you can work over the shoulder and then work backwards. That thumb continues to guide you along until you get to the other side. Again, you can see that the spine's here, but it's a natural stop because the thumb's gotten as far as it can. Then you've got your hands here, and it's the right place to stop. So that's another nice, easy one to do, and it's very, very effective. And then we'll do one more for the moment. I didn't know if you were sleeping there. Are you still awake?
Yeah, fine.
Good. Oh, I kind of want you to sleep now because we've started that before. We see if we can get you to nod off. Not today. Okay, what you can do is a little bit of the hacking. Not so much the cupping because it's not the right area for that. But I would only suggest that you do hacking if you've warmed up the area. Now, we didn't do effleurage, but if you want to do effleurage, you can. It's not always easy if they're wearing something and you don't have a massage medium, but some effleurage would just be, again, sliding over that area. I personally find it difficult. I don't like the feeling of the textures. I would only be happy doing effleurage if it was just on the skin with the massage medium. But if the area is warmed up and the person is relaxed and there's no injuries, you're just doing this to ease off muscle tension, then hacking is just using the hands. Remember what we said in previous videos? It's almost like a chopping movement, but never with rigid hands. Hands must be loose. If it's rigid, it hurts. So nice and loose. And you can practice on a pillow if you think you might hurt someone. Or if you're in any doubt at all, don't do it. But you would work on the area. Again, don't overdo it. You might see some redness, you might see some erythema. If you see excessive erythema, you always stop. But you could do that. I would say be light. People can be too heavy with hacking. You don't want to do that. It's all about generating some warmth and getting some movement in those tissues to get the overall effect, which is the relaxation in the muscles. But you can do that. Now, we'll stop there today. There's more you can do on the shoulders. We can even move into the arms. We can basically do step by step for areas that cause you common aches and pains. But if you're happy with that and you can see where that would fit in just at home, just helping yourself, helping each other in the house, maybe friends, family, partners, whatever it may be, then let me know, because I'm happy to continue doing these videos if they're going to help you. But once you've done the hacking, just maybe finish off either with some effleurage or just again some nice relaxing movements just to get anything, any fluids that are in that area, you're flushing them out to the lymph nodes. You're getting rid of anything, any lactic acid that might be causing aches in those muscles. But 5 or 10 minutes could be enough just to loosen off those shoulders. So let me know if that's helpful. If you'd like to see more, just leave me a comment. If you've got any suggestions too, you can always let me know. Are you still awake?
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, have a lovely day and I'll see you again soon.